guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very interesting talking point. When the E46 era BMWs came out, the M3 was of course the pinnacle car. Now subsequently, you know, M3 has brought out a wagon version. Is what I'm driving today a 3-litre straight 6 petrol manual wagon from this E46 era? Is this as close as you would have got at the time, and subsequently until now, nearly 20 years later, is this as close you ever got to having an E46 M3 wagon of this generation? I believe so, because what I've picked up today is very, very cool. One of, well, the internet is saying 120 left. Whether that's right or not, we don't know. Leave a comment below if you do. But this is one of those cars that, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, no one was really speccing a petrol, larger engine, manual wagon. So something like this is, I'm not going to say the word rare, but maybe it's a little bit harder to find these days. Talking to the owner, there's actually not very many out there. And, you know, yes, the internet does say there is 120 left and it's about 50 sawn out there. This is becoming quite a hard car to come across these days. And the idea of a wagon in a manual configuration with a petrol larger engine, so this has a 3-litre in it, so a 330 wagon, it's quite a big deal. I think it's quite a big deal and a very good talking point. So starting today, she comes into life. This one's got a little bit of exhaust on it, it's got coilovers, it's got a set of wheels, so yes, it's not a factory or at least a standard version. It's as close as to what I can grab for this style of video, because mate, these cars, they're just, I can't find any of them. I can't find them. Right off the bat, driving here, what an absolutely lovely car this is. Like, the 46 generation was so good, wasn't it? It was fantastic. You take a larger engine, you know, 3-litre petrol, reminding yourself that the manual gearbox in some of these, it's not an M car, it's not an M Sport car, it's not really what they were marketing as at the time, but that gearbox, the notchiness, I know you guys can't feel that. That's one of the notchiest standard gearboxes I have come across in recent months, maybe even years. It feels so good, so tight, and so much like you're in something else. It's got so much feel in it. That is lovely for when you're banging through the gears. You can really notch it through, and a lot of 46 fans out there will probably appreciate that gearbox and that gearbox feel. It's something that, you know, maybe if it did drive past you, you wouldn't think it's more of a, not a driver's car, but, you know, it's got a little bit more about it. That gearbox, second gear, roars fantastic. That is a lovely throw from a gearbox. The best thing about all of this, though, is it's sat in a wagon platform. That's my favourite thing about this car. Yes, you know, subsequent era BMW diesels and petrols did come out. Not too much that I would say harping to that wagon style. Glad this car ain't no bigger, because the UK roads are terrible, aren't they? But yeah, so harping back to that naturally aspirated manual wagon. Manual wagons with a petrol engine. It's a dying breed. And this is my big idea of this video, right? Tell me if I'm super wrong in the comments. It's a dying breed. It's one of those things that even at the time, I don't think many people were going out there and going, yes, do you know what? I want a wagon, I want it to be petrol, and I also want to change gear. And that's not a thing people were doing. I still even think today, was it an option in a lot of people's minds to actually go and buy a manual variant of a wagon with a petrol engine? No, I don't think it was. And this being quite a nice version, so it has M Sport bumpers, it has, or M bumpers as they would call it, I suppose, at the time, because it wasn't really M Sport badged up, it wasn't up badged like a lot of stuff is these days into an M Sport variant. It was just like the nicest version of the car that it was. So power 1,000 RPM. That is very, very impressive. Very impressive. The power is actually, even in 2024 when you're driving other cars around and stuff, the naturally aspirated power of one of these, true testament to how good this car was when it came out. What an absolute... It's not a rocket. I was going to say a rocket ship, but it is actually surprisingly fast. That's really, really impressive. Quite quiet as well, actually. First time I've properly put my foot down there. And as we come up into traffic, what a lovely thing. So this one has the nicer interior. It has the more figure-hugging seats. They're not buckets, they're not the plain seats. They've got a lot more bolster than I remember a 46 having, but you definitely feel the difference. Big thing as well, it's got a black headliner. I know that is so silly, but that's a huge deal. It just complements the interior so well. I was talking to the owner as well. He's actually owned this and daily drove it for 7 years. How cool is that? Shout out to keeping your cars and all that. Something that I definitely don't. But it's got like this carbon fibre style trim all the way around it. I was trying to work out if it's wrapped, but I don't think it is. So let me know in the comments below if that's actually a factory thing, because if it is, it's really, really cool. And because this is a facelift, so it's a early facelift on a 51 plate, I just think this is the best iteration of the wagon as well. A facelift with the M Sport style bumpers, factory M Sport interior with the kick panels, with just this nicer interior, and this steering wheel. Although this is, you know, very before they were up badging and they were trying to get cars to be sort of what they're not, like putting AMG badges on a 1.8 litre diesel, this has a chunky steering wheel. Like, it's got such a nice feel about this car when you're driving it, when you're in it. The chunky steering wheel, that notchy gearbox, manual setup with a wagon, like, so big this thing, it's just like, you fit everything in it. And that's just aspirated 3 litre engine. Woo! That is what it's all about. And I say this a lot, and because I try and get cars that are harder to find these days. This is a hard to find car. This is becoming one of those cars that people are either throwing away because they're rusty, they're parting them out, they're pulling the engine out for maybe another project, and I don't think there was too many of them to start with. So maybe this is something to watch out for. It's the M3 Touring they never made. From the factory, an M Sport kitted 3 litre, I'm saying it again, manual car. It didn't exist. The M3 variant didn't exist, so this is, in my opinion, the closest you're ever going to get. And I do feel they are at the point where they are at their cheapest. These will not be cheap for long though. I reckon there is the come up of the 46 era, like the M3s have, Club Sports, various ones like that. It will bring up the fact that these vehicles do exist, and the nicer ones will be worth money. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Let me know if I'm completely wrong in the comments below. Let me know if I'm talking a load of waffle as usual. I don't think I am. I think that this is one of those cars with this iteration, a state manual petrol with the M Sport refinements from its era. That's a car, mate. But thank you so much for watching today, guys. We'll see you on the next one.